Hidde is our guest today, and he is the community manager, and he's also a bee leader. He's the internal bee leader at Zoku, and he will be sharing today with us the insights and the experiences on how to build a thriving community. So that's amazing. For you guys who don't know, Zoku is a hotel, but it's not a classical hotel. Actually, this one it's based in Amsterdam. I think today they have a couple of more locations, and they are really disrupting the industry and making a lot of things absolutely differently. And after actually how they started, they interviewed more than 150 people of their target market. And with that information, actually, they figure out what they need and they build up, something, as I'm saying, it's totally disrupting. And yeah, today we will be sharing that with a little bit more in depth and to understand how they did it and how you can apply these principles to your business. So without further ado, welcome to Hidde. Hidde, are you there?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Fernando, for the great introduction.
Awesome. Well, it's amazing to have you here. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for taking the time actually to come here with us and share your wisdom and your experience with this. So I'm super happy and super thrilled actually to have you here with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to see you guys. Obviously, I actually became bee leader together with you guys, which was that's where we met in Brussels in Belgium, and yeah, so far the journey together has been really cool. Like I'm very, very pleased to be in this episode because like I've joined the previous ones as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really cool to be here. Really, really cool.
Awesome. Well, perfect. Awesome. So let's dive in then into the interview and into the questions. Also, guys, if you are having some question during the interview, just type it in the Q&A section. Sina will be, behind the scenes, just like putting all together, so then we can ask those questions to Hidde. So I want to start off actually because as I told you before, Zoku is a new kind of hotel that is absolutely disrupting the hotel industry. Actually, Forbes put Zoku as one of the 25 coolest hotels in the world. And CNN described Zoku as a smart business hotel where work meets play. So saying this, can you please share with us more in detail, what's the Zoku's concept?
Absolutely. Yeah, like we were very happily surprised by Forbes mentioning us as one of the top 25 coolest hotels in the world. And to be fair, I fully agree with them. They made a good point. No, like obviously that was a really cool thing to hear. And but being cool is not something that we necessarily strive for. So Zoku actually was created in 2016. Or at least the doors opened in 2016.
Yes.
And actually, from ID to opening, it took us 6 years. So that the time of 6 years, actually, the two founders, is Hans and Mark. Hans is a hospitality industry legend, and Mark is actually from the real estate side of things. And the combination just worked out really, really well, where one was very, very thoughtful on the hospitality side of things and human connection and innovations, and the other one really well in the part of getting the actual buildings to facilitate these connections in. So they indeed, like I said, we did 150 interviews initially to actually get and start to understand the target audience that we have. But before they actually did that, what one of our founders did, Hans, he actually decided to go traveling together with his own family, sort of as a global nomad. So we call our target audience global nomads, in a sense of digital nomads is usually the term that people use.
Yes.
And really start traveling with his family to experience what is it actually that people run into, what are the problems, what are the needs and the wants of this target audience. Obviously, it was also a nice thing to go to Bali with his family on the same time, so
of course,
of course, that's nice too. But besides that, he really figured out that the standard hotel life. So even if you travel as a sort of a freelancer or someone that does international projects, the things that you run into a lot is that you either stay in a hotel. The hotels are very impersonal. They're very businesslike. You're by yourself in a room that has a bed central. You have a chair in the corner that nobody uses. You have a little desk underneath the TV where you probably hit your head against a couple of times. It's just not facilitated to people actually traveling for business, even though they call themselves business hotels. The other option is either Airbnb or in a hostel. Hostel is great, but at the end of the day, you also need to work, and it's more a little bit of a party vibe. So they were like, okay, so how can we combine these things into actually creating a concept that facilitates both connections? Because the thing is that when people travel, you're very, very lonely. You know, you have digital contact with your colleagues, with the people that you do projects with, but it's all business related. And at one point during your travels, you do want to have some kind of tribe and sort of a community to fall back on and to support you, whether that is a hotel staff that actually knows your name and really is there for you, invites you to events and even go further than the actual hotel boundaries, or really dive into a community of like-minded people that you can connect with, whether it's sharing ideas or just like, hey, I'm traveling too and I'm lonely too, you know, let's grab a beer together. It's very simple, but
absolutely
hospitality, for some reason, hospitality forgot what it's actually about. It became putting hats in beds rather than, you know, actually being there for someone who is visiting another city and needs to experience something. Usually you're alone. So you want to create those connections and people crave those. So they really deep dived into what can we do to create this for all these business professionals, both locally, not just the international ones, and especially combine these local entrepreneurs that live in and around a hotel to these international travelers. You know, the international travelers, usually if you spend a long time in one place, even though it's for business, at one point you do want to get to know the local culture a little bit better. You know, you want to understand the place that you're in. And these local entrepreneurs, especially nowadays, like everybody is so internationally orientated that, you know, they love to share their local knowledge and in exchange get a little bit of this international experience from those international travelers. So it's actually two really good groups to connect to each other. So then I did 150 interviews with these target audience, and really that was face-to-face, one-on-one. They let them try out all the loft prototypes, and eventually we had 6 from little things, from people feeling claustrophobic in the room because of a specific design element. And really sit down face-to-face with them and interview them each for like about an hour or even longer, and not send out some kind of survey, which is too general anyway. And yeah, then in 2016 we opened our doors, and 4 or 5 years later we're here.
That's
top 25 coolest hotels in the world, I guess.
that's incredible. Actually, thank you very much for your detailed answer. And I think there is an underneath lesson on what you just said, because your answer was all about your target market, and you were describing your target market, the needs, who they are, what they want, what they were getting from the market, what they really wanted, and how you're solving that problem, you know. So I think here the lesson for everyone listening is, do you know your target market as well as Zoku knows their target market? You know their pain points, you know exactly who they are, because I can see that from there they started this concept, you know, and they spent a huge amount of time and resources, I would say, on building up this concept just for them. So I think that underneath lesson on what you just said is just fantastic. I think everyone can wrap something about it. Now, in the founders letter from 2015, so a little bit earlier than actually when you opened the doors for the first time, Mark and Hans, who are the founders, they said, and I will quote right now, "We joined forces with our target group from the very beginning." Well, a little bit what you just said. And I also read on the website that this was 150 interviews with this target market. Now, my question is, this is how you started. Now, how you maintain that kind of relationship over time, and what are you doing today in order to communicate and have, you know, like this channel open with your target market ongoing, you know?
Yeah. That's a very good question. Like you said, like a lot of companies I don't think that a lot of people actually generally really know their target audience.
I agree with you.
And I say target audience now because that's a business term, but basically those people are the core of your tribe, of your clan, of your community. Those people are the ones that really need to start trusting you as a company, and specifically as a person. Like that's a thing that I feel like a lot of companies these days have lost a little bit, like this genuine human connection. Because generally speaking, a company, you know, obviously there's a lot of companies that are in business for money. But on the long run, those companies are not necessarily the ones that create the long-term kind of relationships and meaningful relationships that actually help you to grow your business, and also help out the person that you're trying to help out even in their personal lives. What we have been trying to understand is what is it that this target audience need, and what is the kind of feeling that they wanna have, and kind of tribe that they want to be part of. So Zoku actually also means tribe, family, or clan in Japanese. We are fully Dutch concept, by the way, but the name suited really well. So we really deep dived into what is this, this key thing that people want to have. And as a hotel, basically you have so many people that you touch, whether it's a local economy, literally the neighbors around your place, the government, all these international travelers and tourists, local entrepreneurs. You have so many people that you touch with your company. So the impact that you can make is immense. But in order to do that, you really need to sit down with those people. So what we do with every decision that we make, before we actually make the decision, we sit down face to face with the target audience again and again and again. So that is one thing that I really do as well. But it really starts with us, our staff, like our team is the core of why this concept works. Like we have a lot of, the furniture is amazing. We have a lot of plans. The place looks cool, but it doesn't mean that you're actually going to achieve what you need to achieve. It's really talking to the people face to face. So really what we did is, first of all, hire staff. So the HR team needs to get a huge thank you, basically, because those people, like, they really, what we focus on is people that are not in business or not join a company because of just needing a job. People join Zoku because they genuinely care about other people and they want to help out other people in their lives. So that's one thing. With everything that you do, you really need to implement this core element of what you're trying to achieve. And for us, that is helping out individuals to become more sustainable and become better in their personal and business lives. So that also is towards our staff. We also need to support our staff to do that. So whenever you train your staff in doing that, then you will see that even though we don't even necessarily say we need to have feedback, we constantly receive feedback because the entire team is constantly focused on helping out other people, which results in trust. So our community really trusts us. We have a personal relationship with them, so we constantly get feedback from them. Obviously, there's a combination of combining online with offline. We are in a hotel, so we have a lot of offline connections. But you really need to make sure to have an online community supporting the offline community that you have. Especially now with COVID, we realized that. So we have implemented a WhatsApp group, for instance, for our long stay residents. So anyone staying 2 weeks or longer, we implemented a WhatsApp group for. Yeah, 80% of the people that actually have been introduced to the WhatsApp group have joined. And this is just a way of, letting people know, like, hey, I've arrived at the hotel. So I'm always the one who introduces the people to the WhatsApp group, and really introduce them in a personal way where they already have an online connection with each other. In that group, they can say, like, hey, I'm alone in my room, which everybody is. I want to go up for a beer. Who's joining me? Or we can announce something. This is very simple things, but they're immensely important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So interesting. Also considering that, what's the cost of putting together a WhatsApp group? Zero. Yeah. It's just like willing to go and how can I help? So sometimes also like the solution is not about related with money and investment. I don't have the resources. Yeah. Then it's just sometimes being creative. This cost is absolutely zero. So that's awesome. And can you give us perhaps an example? Because you said that today, like the major decisions, you always, before making them, you sit together with the people and you ask them. Can you maybe recall, some example for the last, I don't know, few months, so to get a little bit more practical on that?
Yeah, I think the thing that is that shows the core of our community the most is a concept that we have called check-in chat. And that basically is like every person needs to check in to a hotel physically. So we have trained our staff to make sure that whenever someone stays 14 nights or longer, that they introduce me to this guest checking in and what I can do for them. What we do then is we ask them, due to the GDPR rules, is it okay if Hidde, our community manager, reaches out to you by email, in which he will send you a personal video. So we actually recorded a video of me because, a plain email is it's just boring. You get so many emails. So we wanted to implement a video, which is literally me talking to the camera, but explaining what I can do for you. Also now updated with the COVID regulations.
That's
And that
amazing.
email is basically inviting them to the WhatsApp group, to a community dinner that we have every Tuesday, which you can join for free. So if you stay 14 nights or longer, or you're a co-working member, or you're a staff member, you basically can join that dinner for free the first time. If you want to join again, it's only 3 courses, €90.50. Really to make sure that we connect those people to each other. And what I do in that video is basically inviting them, saying like, hey, okay, you're going to stay here for a minimum of 2 weeks. On average, it's about a month. And really ask them, what is it that I can do for you to make your stay more awesome? But also, how can I help you to integrate into the city locally? So what is it that you need personally? Is there a gym that you necessarily, or workout that you prefer? Are you into, I don't know, veganism? There's a huge veganism industry in Amsterdam, a lot of good food. What is it that you need to feel more at home? So if you want to sit down with me, let's sit down face to face, and I can help you out.
That's
So
awesome.
also yesterday, I had a chat with someone arriving from India, and obviously this person had to be quarantined, but you know, we did it virtually, and this person actually, this person came from a completely different country, a completely different culture. He's going to work for a new company, so a new job, which is scary, a new city that is you don't know the culture, you don't have any friends, and then you're also staying in a hotel that you don't know during a lockdown. So there's so many things that are playing and going around in someone's mind whenever they, are going for business travel.
Yes.
That it's for us that we decided to implement this, that I physically, or at least, one-on-one sit down with someone and ask them just personally, like, hey, we're both human beings. You're here for a long time. I want to help you out. So what is it that will help you to feel like home, or at least feel like you have a community to fall back on? So this is something that we do with everyone staying 14 nights or longer. So this also results in them already knowing me. So they have one person that they know personally that already helped them out. Then if I invite them to the dinner, then they already know me. So it's easier for them to come to your dinner, because if you all these factors that are making that you are feeling insecure or unwelcome or scared, whatever it is, are at least already taken away a little bit, because then also you have to join a dinner with people you don't know, which
Yes.
is even scarier. But then you already know me and I know the rest, so I can make those connections, and that's also the way I describe it to them. Yeah, actually, out of everyone that joins, which is already, I think, 90% of everyone that is a long stay resident, and then out of those, 90% rejoin actually. So they always constantly come back because of these connections with like-minded people. So I think that is a sort of a trust basis that we're trying to create with everyone who is committed for a long time to us, which is we give away money, we give away free food. Like I'm sitting down with them face to face, and actually in order for them to start trusting us and in our concept and really help them in their personal and business life. And in return, you'll create such a high loyalty from them that even after they've left, they will come back to you and constantly give feedback, promote it within their company, within their friends. And that is, creating loyalty over time, and the money will follow basically.
That's incredible. I think that, I mean, thank you very much actually for this piece of gold actually on building community. I hope everyone here actually is getting some value and getting some ideas that you can apply for your business as well. So really falling in love, with your client and serving, how you can add more value, how you can serve them better, really and truly care. Definitely those are pillars I can see, in your business. And it's not just the strategy, it's really who you are, and becomes part of the strategy by as a byproduct, but that's you, that's your essence. And actually this is the perfect bridge actually for the next question, because clearly connection, it's one of your core values, and actually you have this tagline that says better together. So what's interesting, it's not just about talking about connecting people, it's about meaningful connections. So I would like to expand on this. So what's the Zoku's meaning, or your meaning of meaningful connection?
Yes. Well, I don't think there's one term or one explanation of a meaningful connection, because I think for every individual it will be different. But I guess what the core of a meaningful connection, at least to us, is that you really get to know someone on a personal level, where you know what someone is actually, like, what their fears are, something that bothers them, but also something that excites them. Like in business, it's a lot of times just about, okay, you need a certain product, I have that product or service, so you buy that from me, and therefore we have a connection. That is a connection in business. But if you look at how you have a relationship with friends in your private life, that is always based on, like, I genuinely want to get to know you. What drives you? Like, why do you do what you do? Not just what do you do? So that is something that our team always asks our community, is sort of, whenever someone checks in and they say, okay, I work for, I don't know, for 4ChangeMakers. So, okay, cool. But why do you do that? Why did you decide to get into this? What is it that drives you? And that is something when you generally start to understand someone. And in business, without understanding someone on a deeper level than just, I need a product and I have that product, so I'll provide you that product. In order to really, really understand someone and build trust and loyalty for the long run, that is something that you really need to consider to even go beyond what they need in a business sense. But what is it that the whole company is bothering? Is there like a general problem in the company that we can support you with? So Zoku always goes outside of the products and services that we have. So if you have a problem that we could potentially look into, then we might create a new product because of it. Because there's never, one concept will never be sustainable in the long run if you never look at what people genuinely need outside of what they ask you. So there's always an underlying reason for why someone asks you something. If someone wants to become a member at Zoku, I had yesterday actually, someone called me and he said, like, I'm interested in your membership. It's like, all right, why are you interested in the membership? So, like, what is it? He's like, well, like, I'm the walls are coming at me at home and I don't really have anyone to talk to. It's like, all right. So that's a good thing, because our staff would love to get to know you, and you have to be ready for, well, normally hugs and kisses, with now it's not really possible. So you're really understanding. So for that person, it was really the need and the lack of communication with others. He didn't have anyone to talk to, and he used to have colleagues. So eventually, now he's going to bring over more colleagues because they have the same problem. And for us, obviously, we're still business. It's more revenue because we bring in more people, but we're actually also helping out him, and not just him, but also his team, because his whole team had the same problem. So why not ask further and figure out what the actual core of the problem is, which was actually his whole team not being able to talk to each other, and really seeing each other and have this human connection. So that, I think the core of a meaningful connection is really figuring out what drives someone and what is it that they're afraid of or whatever. So actually, I want to, now that I think of it, this is a question I actually always ask my staff when I train them on how to make meaningful connections. And I want to ask you the question actually, Fernando, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Like in human beings, from like back in the days already, like human beings crave connections. So why is it that, what is it that stops us from actually creating connections, even though we crave it?
Fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fear of rejection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have that maybe sometimes where you're sitting in a train and I don't know, you see someone reading a book that you might have read as well, and then you kind of want to talk to the person, but then you might not do that because of a fear of rejection. So it's like, I'm this weird person in the train that asked about your book. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, that's weird. So you feel like you might be rejected. And that is something that, basically how I describe it to my team is always as a kid, when you were younger, if you were on a playground, then if you wanted to play with the other kids, then what I at least did, and what a lot of other kids did, is you would ask your mom or your dad to introduce you to these kids. Sort of like, can you ask if they want to play with me? So, that your mom or your dad would go up to these people and actually introduce you or ask if it's okay and if you would get rejected, it wasn't you, it was your mom or dad. So it's more indirect. So you don't have to be too scared.
You don't face rejection.
Yeah, exactly. So Zoku is basically the mom or the dad. So we are the safety net for you. So you tell us what you want, and we will see how we can provide that in a way that is sustainable and doable for you. And if we get rejected, so indirectly it's you, but it's indirectly, so the others won't even know it's you. So
Yeah.
we are that safety net. We are that providing. We provide that for people to feel safe and part of a tribe that you can fall back on and they'll have your back.
It's so interesting what you're saying, because actually this, I mean, what I can see that this is way deeper, because this is a mindset, right? So so I can see, that the people at Zoku, that you have this mindset of building up this safety net, on bringing this value, bringing people together, helping them make meaningful connection. But this is, as I'm saying, it's not just blah blah. It's not just action, it's really a mindset, and always thinking on that. So for example, the example that you just did yesterday, hey, I want to join. Yeah, but why? I really want to understand. But that's definitely a mindset. So I think one of the biggest takeaway from here, actually, for everyone listening as well, how you can adapt this kind of mindset within your business. Which kind of mindset do you want to have in your business, because this is actually the seed, the inception, and then everything will grow out of that. So really, 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 really interesting. Thank you very much for sharing. Now let's talk a bit about the current situation around the world with this global pandemic. It definitely, one of the industries that has been the most hurt about this is actually hospitality. But I saw as well, that you're trying to figure out ways on how to add value, how to maintain this connection. You're doing more things online, and maybe you can share a bit, about what is this parade at Zoku. That I understand this is a live event that you do every year, but right now you're doing it actually online. So perhaps what it is, how you figure out this thing, how you are adapting to this global situation.
Yeah. That is actually, that the Parade event is part of a series actually that we created during COVID. And actually the first lockdown, that was around March, April. What we did, like Hans, one of the owners, he said, like, okay guys, everyone was trying to figure out what to do, like the hospitality industry, nobody was traveling anymore. Everybody had to stay home. So out of the blue, the hotel was completely empty. So we were like, okay, holy shit, what do we need to do in order to actually, pay the rent? And besides paying the rent, how can we still support our community that normally was in our house? So then we could actually help and support them. And now they have to stay at home too. So everyone was in the same situation. So instead of, like, a lot of places closed the hotels just to save money because nobody came anyway. But we didn't want to leave our community behind. Like, we didn't want to say, okay, lockdown, the whole world isn't shut down, so we'll just close the hotel. No, we're not going to do that. We also have people stay for a longer period of time that literally cannot go back to their families and to their own country. So what we're going to do, we're going to lock ourselves in a room for 2 weeks. So we have a very spacious event space, so everybody could keep their distance and whatnot. So we locked ourselves in this room, and every department got his own sort of project plan based on what can we do in order to create a place that is still safe, where we can keep our distance, like from the very simple ones like hand sanitizers and face masks, all the way up to training our team to make sure that we provide a safety net whenever someone walks in. Because in the beginning of COVID, going to a hotel, and now still, it's a weird thing to do because you kind of feel socially responsible for your surroundings, for your family. So going to a hotel is not something that you maybe even want to tell your community about, because you kind of feel guilty almost. So how can we make sure that we really properly explain to everyone how we've done this? Like, did we make sure that you are safe? So after 2 weeks, everything was changed. We had walking routes on the floor. We had hand disposal, sanitizers everywhere.
Yes.
The team was fully trained on every single department, from the front office to the kitchen to the bar to the event space. Like, how do we talk to people? Even the type of words that you use in order to make people feel safe. And it took us 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, basically, people came here and everybody loved it. They felt safe. They felt accepted. So based on that, we started to see, okay, even outside of our company, who else is in need of support? So basically the food and beverage industry and then the hospitality industry. was hit the most. So all the restaurants had to close, all the bars and whatnot. So we started to think, okay, we have hotel rooms that, you know, we also now already turned into workspaces for the day. So we've used them already flexible. But a couple of things is that people, like, what is the thing that people are lacking right now that they're missing? Well, it's social connections, entertainment, meeting other people, going outside of their house, all these things combined. And then we started looking at, okay, there's a couple of like Rijks is a Michelin star restaurant in Amsterdam that we started collaborating with. Parade, which is a sort of a festival based on arts and crafts and experiences. They were about to celebrate the 30-year existence, but they just couldn't. And then we started reaching out to them saying, like, hey, we have hotel rooms in which people can stay. They have their own closed off bubble, so they're safe. We have hallways in which we can actually provide entertainment, which you could do. Then we'll invite this bar or this restaurant that can actually provide all the food and drinks. Because we do have a kitchen, but we'll get the revenue from the rooms. So you can make revenue through selling your food, and you can make revenue through selling your entertainment and events. And if we combine all of them together, then we create a safe event with entertainment in the hallway, where everybody is still safe, but you have a shared experience because you had all these little heads popping out of the rooms. And creating this, we had live music in there. We had all sorts of quizzes. There was Zoom calls with the chef who would actually explain how you can make your own recipes, like on the spot. So everybody in their own room was making the same recipe. Then there was a cocktail bar, gin and tonic bar coming at your door, so you could buy a cocktail. So really combining forces with other people in the local Amsterdam community that needed support, that were missing revenue, that had to close down, and really come up with a solution that is beneficial for all these parties, and really reach outside of what we need and really look at what does the city need and how can we provide that for the people.
Awesome.
And again, created a huge amount of support, and then we sold out every single time. It was really cool.
That's awesome. I think the willingness, and again the mindset of always going out there and serving, and not only serving your clients but also looking around your surroundings, your community, your employees. So how we can add more value to everyone involved with our business. That mindset is the key in order to come up with these ideas and with innovation and everything. So awesome learning as well. Now, we've been talking about the business. We've been talking about what it is. We've been talking about who's your target market, how you build up value for them, how you build up the connection, and all that related more to the business side, even though it's very purposeful. However, there's another topic about Zoku that actually excites me a lot, and that's where we met actually at the Be Leader training, because it's about sustainability. It's about the impact, and not only talking about it, but also measuring the impact and getting better with that. So let's shift a little bit, gears, and let's talk about sustainability and what are the things that Zoku is doing towards sustainability.
Indeed. When we met, indeed, for the Be Leader training, Zoku already was a B Corp. So I was, I think, one of the people that actually already was working for a B Corp. But by that time, I was also getting into it. It's a generally speaking, in the world, B Corp is something that is it should be more out there and should be taken over the world eventually. But we're getting there. So for me, this is the last year, I guess, has also really been a journey of getting into this movement and really supporting Zoku to get out there and really start making more of an impact, and especially making sure that the whole team is really supporting this and understanding this. Like, the support was already there from the community and our employees. But the true understanding and what does it actually mean for us to make an impact, and what is that impact, that is something that we have to improve on, which I think we're doing really, really well right now. So basically, the impact mission that we have is facilitating social contribution and meaningful integration for international traveling talent for the local neighborhoods. So basically what that means is, because they're quite broad, it's quite a broad meaning to this sentence, but facilitating social contribution is something that we can do for every single target audience that we have. So we have our Work Zoku members, which is the co-workers. We have our residents. We have the Zoku team, and we have local entrepreneurs that live in and around Zoku. And that even goes to our event partners that we organize events with, not based on revenue, but really based on this mutual creating of connections. And then the other part is the meaningful integration, which is really focused on making sure that especially all these expats that live in Zoku, or people that are living here for up to a year, that they are really integrated in a meaningful way into the local community. So what we see is, as a hotel, like obviously we have a green building, like they're the very basics. You know, you can be energy sufficient, be very sufficient with your water usage. Those are the basics that any building should do anyway, I feel like. But for us, the impact that we have is on the people that we serve. So the more sort of cautiousness that we can create within them about all the good initiatives based on sustainability and creating a better world in Amsterdam, and really portraying that to them and involving them in this movement, that is where we start to make an impact. So, you know, like a general thing is that the more someone receives and the more someone feels part of a tribe and a clan, so some sort of a safety net that they can fall back on, the more relaxed they are themselves, and the more they're actually willing to give away. So that is something that we've started to notice over time, is that the more we actually spend personal attention on someone, the more they're actually willing to spend their time and money on good initiatives that are actually improving the world. So for us, the impact that we make is by setting a good example for our target audiences, and really making sure that they get in the same mindset through events that we organize, for instance. So the events that I organize are always based on it's mutual beneficial. So basically, we never ask for any money to rent our space. So it usually happens in the evenings when the event space is free anyway. So you can use our space for free, and in return, I want a certain percentage of your tickets that I can give away for free to my community. But the event should be something that is either contributing to their free time. So we have a lot of music events, or just a simple beer hour. But also we have, for instance, an organization called A City Made by People. And they basically have talks that are offered for free, both to the local Amsterdam community and also to the Zoku community, in which they invite initiatives that do good for health, for mental, for mindfulness, for green initiatives to improve the city. So in that way, we can really inspire our community, and we also give it away for free. Sort of like, hey, you're living in Amsterdam now. This is what Amsterdam is all about. These are the good initiatives that we have. And what you see is that, like also with the support of this online community, is that people say like, hey, you know, I'm going to this event tonight. What are you up to? And then you see that people will actually go to this event, and then eventually the next week you talk to them, and they've actually physically visited that location of this whatever initiative that spoke at that event. So what we contribute to, like every city that we're in, is that we create more consciousness and more of a sustainable mindset of the people that will move to Amsterdam. You know, we do serve generally speaking the people with a better pay. So they're you know, they work for the bigger corporations, but those are also specifically the people that can actually make an impact on the world with what they do. So what we create is a local mindset within every person that we have within our building. And with the staff, we really focus on helping them to improve their lives. So like life skills on how to make connections, and how to also take that outside of Zoku. You know, we really want to make sure that everything that you learn on how to make connections and how to improve your social lives and the meaningful relationships that you have with people, that you take those learnings outside of Zoku wherever you might go afterwards. So basically the impact that we create is through giving a good example on the community that we serve. Got it.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And it's super interesting because you have like these like two roles in one, because on one side you're the community manager. So of course, part of your, let's say, job, you know, or your activities are actually to create this connection with the people and serve them and everything that you already described it before. But on the other side, you're the B leader. So as B leader, you're managing the impact and looking to the sustainability side of the business as well. So I think you kind of like answered that question already just recently, but I'm very obsessed on understanding how to balance purpose and profit, you know, and how to kind of like juggle these two balls and apply it into a business. So what's your experience actually by having the two roles within the company? That's very rare, you know. What's your experience on how to mix these two things? And if you have any recommendations actually for everyone listening here, how you do that, you know?
Yeah. That is, I think, now especially one of the things that people are really diving into, figuring out, so how can I actually balance purpose with profit? Because if you look at all the shareholders and the investors that you usually talk to, you know, they want to see return on investment. If the numbers aren't there, then they don't really care what you do. And the beautiful explanation that you have on how to improve the world, good for you. But, you know, I don't see the numbers. So, you know, that doesn't work for me. Like, I'm in here for the money.
Otherwise, you can have an NGO and do whatever you want. But if it is a business, then you have to make some sort of money.
Exactly. Like, at least to me, like, money is just a tool to reach your goal. So like every company that is in business, like we relate business to money, and the more money you have and the more revenue you create, the better you are as a company. But actually, the way I view it is that the more money you create and the more profit that you have, the more impact you can make with that money on the community that you serve. If you create a company saying basically created for filling up your own pockets and getting as much money as possible, then basically, like, obviously you have a lot of companies that do that and they're doing very well. But usually those are not the companies that genuinely feel like they know their target audience and they actually help someone on a personal level. And that is fulfilling for you. So, you know, how we try to do this is to really, with everyone that starts at the company, try to explain that we are really into long-term relationships. So like this community event concept that we have, where we, as long as we play break even, so at least we don't lose money, that's good enough for us. So, you know, we usually have to provide a staff member, which costs this amount of money. So if we sell this amount of drinks during the event, then we'll be okay, and we cover the cost. Done. But what you do with that is you invite, on average, with an event, let's say we have about, I don't know, with a music event, let's say you have 200 people here, 300 people. Every Friday, there's new people coming in. Basically, we don't necessarily create a lot of revenue. You know, obviously we have the bar revenue, but compared to all the operational expenses that we have, it's not too much. But what you do there is you create a community, and I'm always there, like I'm hosting it together with the event partner. We provide food and drinks for the musicians, also free of charge. So we make sure they have food and drink the whole night. We actually pay the musicians, so the musicians grow their target audience. They go away and then they actually make money. And what we do is we just play break even. But eventually what you do over a long time is that people love to come to your company. They love to come to your space because, you know, it's all based on mutual respect, on helping each other out, rather than, you know, we're here to make as much revenue as possible. So we already have the same music partner for 4 years, 3.5 years, because of this mutual connection. And we're always sitting down based on, okay, now your costs have gone up this much. What can we implement from our side? Like, what kind of drink can we promote to create a little bit more revenue in order to support you and your company? So that is a mindset that on the long run will create such a big loyalty within the people that will come to your company. They will spread the word for you. And yeah, it will take some more time rather than actually hard selling products and you know, generating a quick turnover.
It's people creating this loyalty, people referring, people that eventually when they go to another city, they will stay at Zoku or in another city. Eventually people that will go to the co-working space. So it's really the long-term marketing strategy as well.
Yeah. And like the thing is, if you are really out there to help other people grow, which is like even letting them grow in their revenue stream, that will come back to you constantly. always. They will start providing free stuff to you as well, because of the fact, it's sort of an old way. If you give me eggs, I'll give you milk, whatever. It's really a thing of co-creation.
Yeah.
And that is something that companies, I think, misunderstand, is that by co-creation and really listening to what another person needs, even though you don't necessarily need to help them out, but because they help you out for choosing your product, help them out too. Like, please help them out. We're in this together. We're all human beings. So, this co-creation will create such a loyalty and a trust, which also goes beyond, like, with all the event partners, I have personal contact also outside of work. That you could say that's unhealthy, but to me, we're all human beings, and I genuinely love those people. Like, I love working with them. So I'm even babysitting in the near future for the guy that organizes music. Like, I'm babysitting for him just because I like the guy, and we help each other out. So it really goes deep into what it is to be human, almost. Like, it sounds a little bit too philosophical maybe, but really help each other out, and then eventually the loyalty that you create with your community will start to grow, and that will rapidly change your revenue stream as well.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. So well, I think we're ready actually to jump into the next section of the show. We were, I think, a little bit over with our part, but the conversation was really cool. So anyway, let's go straightforward right now to answer the question actually from the people. They were typing in some question for you, Hidde, based on what we were talking. So actually right now Sina will give us a hand on that and be the voice of the people here listening.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Hidde, for answering all the questions. And yeah, I also really enjoyed it. I made so many notes. I had a really good time. And I quickly want to share a hack with you guys that I learned recently on how to make better notes. So what I did, I divided my paper in like 2 sections. On the left-hand side, I just wrote down like keywords and bullet points of what Hidde shared. On the right-hand side, I immediately brainstormed ideas on how we can use it for our business and implement it. And I also decided to create an email afterwards to share my ideas with you guys. So thank you very much for the inspiration, Hidde. And now let's jump into the questions. So the first one is, I don't know from whom, because it's an anonymous person, but this person really likes how you build your community and how it helped Zoku to become Zoku and to help the people who come to Zoku. And this person would like to know how, if you have some advice for him or her on how she could use your background and your experience on building a community for her own brand, especially so she has a plant-based food brand. So to create similar connections and a community around her brand with the consumers.
Okay. A plant-based food brand. All right. Well, basically, like we've also worked with a plant-based cheese company, and what we have done with them is, like, for us, it's very easy to create these human one-on-one connections because we have this physical space. So obviously, that is already helping us to be present with the community. So that's one thing I also know that makes my job a lot easier. And this online marketing, which you then should potentially look into, is something that is maybe out of my expertise. But what I would really recommend is to first of all, before even start reaching out to your target audience, is to find companies that have issues with providing proper plant-based food. Really see what is the pain in the market that you see within other companies. Start to reach out to people and see if they are in need of certain things, or they have questions, or what are the things that their clientele is doubtful about with plant-based products, for instance, and really deep dive into what it is. So on one side, you will figure out all the pain points that you might need to look into with your company based on other companies that might sell your products. But what you also create is that you start sharing these ideas and these pains that you have, which could also lead into new business contacts and clients. And then eventually what you start doing is you grow a network of people that are in the same industry. and can really start helping each other out. And then eventually, obviously, yeah, it's a good one, how to actually create your community. But I think you should really start at companies and people that are inspired by the same thing and what the pain points are, and collaborate with them. Maybe even create sort of an online panel discussion where we have with B leaders as well, where you're from the same industry, but you're not necessarily related. In a sense of maybe you're not even in the same city or whatever, but you have the same purpose. So start connecting with those people and see where those pain points are and the people that they might have already have good connections with, which will lead you to a broader understanding of your market, and also already a good following that is going to help you out with your marketing and introduce you to their clients and to their clientele. So that's, I guess, the way that I would go about it.
I would like to complement that, because I think that the question, like, this is my product, do you like it? It's starting like, okay, this is me, do you like me? So it's not putting, like the thinking on what they really want. So I will shift the question in a way that puts them as the most important thing and not your product. So for example, I want to produce, some products that are plant-based. What would make a plant-based product amazing for you? What are you looking when you're looking for plant-based products? Why you buy plant-based products? So really understanding them, and from that information, create, a product that fits their needs. So that's actually how Zoku started. They went out, they talked to the people, and from there, they didn't go like, hey, this is my old hotel, do you like it? They were like, which kind of hotel do you want? So I think just reversing that process will give you tremendous value and will give you tremendous insight to actually go and build that rapport and that community around your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I think what you and also what Fernando just said is not only helpful for anyone who wants to start a plant-based food business, but you can implement it in any other business or any other industry. So I think this is really, really helpful. And we have two more questions. The next ones are both from Alex. And he would like to know that to understand like your guests at a deeper level and a specific skill set, that wait, I'm gonna read through the question. So that you both hire for and instill within the HR and wider international culture of Zoku. So for example, like social psychology or people, do you, when you hire people, make sure that they bring in those components?
Yeah, so let me see if I understand the question correctly. So basically, how, so from an HR point of view, how do we get to know our guests better?
Exactly, and the people you hire, do they have to bring it as a deeper level, like as a skill set, understanding the people?
Well, first of all, like there's a lot of things that you can learn. So like if you study a certain topic, that's something that you can maybe learn. But to really genuinely love to make connections and be good at that is something that is almost impossible to teach. Like you need to have a certain level of comfort in talking to people and general interest already to be able to provide this like really connection between people. So that is one thing that we look at. So we really don't necessarily look at what you've studied or the amount of degrees that you have, or it's rather experience. So someone that has, I don't know, has 5 hospitality industries, but has never actually worked in like operations and never really had experience in creating a community or talking to people, organizing events or whatever. That is already more important than the studies itself. So that's one. So you really start with making sure that this person is really, you'll feel it in the actual interview that someone is like good at making connections and is open about sharing their own personal story. So that's one. And then eventually, what we do is like we train everyone, and we also hire. First we hire everyone. So one is the skill set of being able to have and create social connections, and the other is that we also really look for people from different how do you say that, industries. So we don't necessarily look for people from the hospitality industry, specifically because if you only have people that have studied the same, that have had the same experiences, you will never be able to go outside of your boundaries in order to really help people. Like our clientele is also from all kinds of different industries. So that is also a thing, to really hire people that not necessarily fit in the profile picture, because those people are usually the ones that surprise you, because they have this different mindset and different knowledge that you would otherwise not even have from someone that did maybe study what you're looking for. But if, let's say, we are now at someone that actually studied building stuff, let's say, like, I don't know the fancy word for it. So he was in a completely different industries in sort of project management for cities, and he actually had a lot of experience operationally working in bars and restaurants. So this combination of being able to have this social connection with someone, but then also having a completely different study background, that combination also delivered us a lot of new insights on sort of city project management, which actually helped us on a lot of different aspects from the company that we didn't even expect, including then eventually being able to help your guests out and the clientele even outside of what you thought you could because of this new input. And then eventually we also train the staff really on life skills. So that is from anything from body language, tone of voice, mirroring of someone's body behavior. So we really deep dive into why people even need connections. Why is it that we crave them? All the way up to how can you create a sustainable relationship with someone from the very beginning. So that is things like asking why people do things rather than what they do. It's really mimicking someone's tone of voice. Like if I'm checking into a hotel, I'm quite nervous and I'm talking really fast. If the person that is checking me in is talking really slow, that already creates sort of a disbalance in which the person initially doesn't already, in the first moment that they arrive, don't necessarily feel welcome. So it's the whole process from the very beginning, where we also look outside of what we think we should hire and really see like what else is out there, all the way to training them on life skills that go way beyond what they do at Zoku. So yeah, broadening the perspective from ourselves and the people that we work with.
Yeah, and I think what you just shared also makes quite clear. I remember that you shared with Fernando and me a while ago that for you, your job at Zoku is not just a job, it's like a lifestyle, and you wanted to have a lifestyle rather than a job. And what you just shared also describes on how Zoku actually is a lifestyle for the people and the employees you're looking for to join Zoku, that you also want to provide them like a lifestyle. I think this is pretty cool. And so we have one last question. It's also from Alex, and it's referring to your double role. So being the community manager, but also being the B leader. And he wants to know if it's maybe a bit too much to have those two roles, and if you have a support team, or how big your unit at Zoku is.
To be fair, I actually 2 days ago heard that I got a new job title, promotion, however you want to call it. Which is really cool. So it's now going to be community and impact lead. And to be fair, we have to see how it turns out when things go back to normal. So we had an open discussion about that, saying like, okay, when the operation is actually fully ongoing again with all the events, we'll have to see how that turns out. But that's another thing in Zoku, which is really cool, is that we say we're always beta. So we always see what we can improve, and if something doesn't work, we'll find another solution. But I've actually been combining this now already for a year, actually. So also when we were busy, and in my role, it makes sense to combine the two, because the impact mission statement that we have is fully based on this human connection, and the core of what I do with community management is facilitating these human connections. So basically everything that I do within Zoku is fully related to the main core of the mission. So I think that if you would do this in any other company, then first of all, see what the actual impact is that you're trying to make, and then look at which department is actually creating that impact mostly, or is this the core of that impact. So at least let a couple of people or one person of that team be involved in either the B Corp or Impact or whatever it is team. So for me, it's quite easy in that sense, because everything that I do is directly related to the impact that we want to make. And then I guess my support team is literally the whole company. So I don't have a direct team. So my team is literally the whole company. So in that sense, I have a lot of people that support me, from owner to dishwasher. So I think Zoku has provided me enough freedom in my day-to-day job to decide for myself what I need, the resources that I need, and that's also related to the people. So yeah, whenever you make sure that someone has enough resources, and you don't necessarily need your own team to achieve that.
Yeah, makes also totally sense when we look at the Zoku claim better together, so that the entire company is actually like working together and supporting each other. So yeah, thank you very much for answering those questions. And I think we're already a little bit over the time. So yeah, it was amazing to have you here at the Lunch Club today as a guest. I think it was really valuable what you shared with us. At least for me, it was super inspiring. As I said already, I wrote down so many things and ideas. So yeah, thank you a lot. And I'm pretty sure Fernando also has some final words to share before we're going to close this session.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Hidde, for everything, actually, and congratulations on your new job, or for being promoted, actually. So congrats on that as well. I know that you're doing an amazing job. So yeah, again, thank you very much for coming here, sharing with us, so much wisdom. I hope that this was also super valuable for everyone who joined. We had people today from Denmark, from Germany, from Sweden, from the Netherlands, so from all over the place. So thank you very much, guys, actually, for joining. And yeah, I think that's it for this episode. We kick off this year, with a great guest, with a great interview, with great energy. So anyway, that's amazing. And I hope to see you here soon in real life. And I hope to see you soon as well in the next episode of the Lunch Club as well.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. I highly enjoyed this. So thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really, really cool.
Great.
Awesome. So, well, that's it. And yeah, for everyone, if you're still interested on joining in the live training, you can still join. It's at 4ChangeMakers.com/live training. You can go there and you can register. This is something that we're going to be doing next week. And yeah, it's just based, on the feedback that you provide us. So we are here actually to bring you value. So wish you all a lovely day ahead and a week. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for listening.
Great. Okay, have a great day, and looking forward to see you next week or the week afterwards for the next Lunch Club. So
okay.
bye.
Bye, guys.